Hi guys, it's Chloe and welcome back to my channel. So summer camp is quickly approaching, and regardless if your individual is doing an overnight camp or a day camp, I have actually worked both. I'm currently working as an overnight camp counselor for a camp for individuals with autism of all ages, and I used to work a day camp for individuals of all ages with autism. And I figured I'd share like what to know before you go and also how to spot for signs of abuse by the staff. I'm excited to get into this video, and on that note, we're gonna get started. So if you notice, there's no trigger warning in this video, and the reason why I don't do trigger warnings is because people that aren't triggered maybe see like the trigger warning abuse and then not look at it and or be like, oh boy, here we go again. And the thing is that we can't just deter away from this issue because it's very common in the disability community, and we can't make change unless if people actually start listening to this stuff. On that note, I'm going to get into the video. If you can, be sure to look at the reviews of the camp. Now, camps are not tacos. They're not gonna please everyone, and there may be some people that have had bad experiences. But I will mention if the bad experiences outweigh the good, like there's more bad experiences than good, then maybe you shouldn't take your individual there. Yes, but I should also mention too that at least in my state, the camp counselors, regardless if it's day or overnight, are required to have background checks. Again, I don't know if it's true for every state. I just know that my state has to do it. So on the camper applications that you get, don't be shy in writing things down. So like if your individual, for instance, bites their arm when they're stressed, and you're afraid to put it down because your camper may not be accepted, put it down, because this way the staff reads all the applications before they allow you to come to camp. In the event that they can't handle your individual, a good camp would let you know ahead of time, because the last thing you want to happen is for you to not put that down, and then for that to happen at camp, and then the camp not have any staff that's trained to handle someone when they're stressed like that. The other reason why this is important is so that we don't have to make an unnecessary phone call. Not that we don't mind making phone calls, but this would save you some hassle if you're at work. Like, hey, Cecilia's biting her arm. Where if you put it in the application, if the staff were to tell their director that Cecilia's biting her arm, they could say, yeah, that was yeeted into the camper application, that she tends to do that when she's stressed. Let's do this with her instead. Now, if they say, if they give you a packing list for day camp or overnight camp, be sure to follow that. And in most cases with the day and the overnight, they don't allow technology like a cell phone. The only exception in my case with the campers I work with is if they use a communication device like an iPad with Prologue to Go or something else like that, which in that case, it's completely okay to bring. But other than that, technology is not allowed. So the first thing you want to do is do a body scan of your individual to check for bruises, regardless if you're going to an overnight or they're going to a day camp. And if they have a bruise, report it to the staff. You don't have to be terribly graphic, like, oh, there was blood that spewed everywhere. It was a hot mess. No. You can just say, hey, I just want to let you know that Cecilia bumped her arm on the counter this morning and got a bruise from it. The reason being is because if you don't tell them, we have to assume, regardless of how good of a parent you are, that you abused your child, and we'll have to question you. And that's one of the signs of a good camp, because they're looking out for the individuals outside of the camp setting. Also, this is good because you want to do another body scan when your individual leaves camp. And if there are any bruises or marks on the individual that weren't there when you drop them off, then you have the right to ask the staff what happened. Now, I know with my camp, they have to fill out an incident report and send it to the parents. But again, in the event that your camp, doesn't tell you, then you have the right to question. Or maybe they did tell you and you want further answers. Again, you have the right to question. Also, if something seems off, like the bruise they got doesn't match the injury that they had. So let's say, for instance, I'll go back to the bumping the arm on the counter. Let's say they were, at camp and bumped their arm on the lunch table or something. And those bruises are supposed to be round, but you notice that there is a thick belt-like mark on their arm, then that means that they were probably being abused. Another thing is notice their mood before they go to camp and how they act after camp. So like, for instance, if your individual is typically happy and was happy, on the day that they had camp, but then after they've come out of camp for the past couple of days, they've been angry, that could be a sign that they're being abused. Another sign is, let's say that they have self-injurious behaviors, like banging their head into the wall, and they haven't done it in a while, but they start doing it again, then that could be a sign that they're being abused as well. And if the individual is able to communicate in some way, whether it's through sign language, a spelling board, PECS, communication device, whatever the heck it may be, ask them how their day went. And if it hasn't been going good, then that means they probably have been abused or something else is going on that needs to be looked into further. Pause. Now, I want to bring something up, but be sure to look after other individuals as well. So, for instance, let's say your daughter Cecilia goes to day autism camp and her friend Amelia goes to this camp too, and they're paired in the same room and stuff. And let's say you ask Cecilia one day how autism camp is going, and she said, "Oh, it's not going very good. I overheard the teacher say to another teacher that if Amelia can't sit still, she's considering taking away her recess time for the rest of the week." And Amelia has ADHD, and the staff has been made aware of this and therefore can't sit still as a result. And therefore, it would be best to alert the other parent to let them know that they had said that so that they can tell the staff. Also, with overnight camp, you are not allowed to call the staff to ask to speak to the individual, to ask how they're doing, because that'll lead to homesickness. You can, however, call the camp and ask how the individual is doing, and you'll hear it from the staff. You just can't hear it from the individual themselves. The reason being is because that leads to homesickness. And nobody at our camp wants a homesick camper, And with a lot of the camps, with the info packets that they send, there'll be a phone number that you can call to ask to speak to the staff to see how your individual's doing. But most times, they don't accept phone calls until the evening when all the campers are in bed, which is typically, depending on age, like 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. And with overnight camp, you're not allowed to bring your own food. Pause. So, with my overnight camp, they're able to accommodate any dietary needs like gluten-free, vegan, stuff of the like. But you may want to check your individual's camp before sending them to be sure that they do accommodate for any allergies. As far as day camp, you may or may not have to pack a lunch depending on what they say. Most camps you do, and then like on Fridays they have like a pizza day or something. I'm also going to include in my Google Drive a template, and it'll be a table where you can write down the date and how they acted before they left for camp and how they acted when they came back, and if they had any bruises before coming to camp and if they had any after they left, and just stuff like that. And this way too, if you do end up having to report the camp, then you've got physical documentation that you wrote down. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I can't wait to see you guys again soon. Bye.